Our first question is always, what turns you on about the theater? What hits you? What lives with you? What is important to you?
Nothing. No.
We've had that question answered before, so don't.
Oh no, so I'm not original. Okay.
We're gonna go into our take 5, which is 5 questions we ask everybody we bring on, which we're going to have to change if we like keep doing this. We're gonna have to come up with like 5 more. Our first question is always, what turns you on about the theater? What hits you? What lives with you? What is important to you?
You know, I really love weird things.
Mm.
I really love it when things are weird and avant-garde and have a real kind of thought behind the abstraction of it. And I was talking to my students at Hofstra about this today, is that I think that all great acting or directing or singing or whatever happens before you know that it's happening. Mm-hmm. That you take a breath and then all of a sudden it's there. You take a breath, and in that breath comes all of the understanding you need in order to move forward with the piece. Or you take that breath and you're on the edge of tears, or you're on the edge of laughing the entire time, or the edge of anger. I really love that tenuous line between breath and no breath, as long as there is a breath on the other side of the no breath, and as long as there is no breath on the other side of the breath. I don't know if that made any sense.
I love it.
I love it.
We have a grand appreciation for the odd and the complex. The second, and it's like a 2-part question. What's something that turns you off about the theater? Something that like kicks you out or doesn't speak to you, or like you just never got with?
The idea that some theater is better than others. The judgment with which people create it is about when it's about what's most palatable to a paying audience. That when the money is the money that people are paying is the thing that dictates what happens in the play, in the show. What's the second part?
Just what turned you off about the theater. You kind of answered it with
okay, good. That's it. I really can't, I don't understand how. I was once making this play, and it was this lip sync musical, and it was like a 20-minute lip sync musical that I created, and it was sort of like the beginning of an idea of a play. Mm-hmm. But I presented it during Mini Fridge at Frigid, and there was the promo was a young actor lip syncing to Barbra Streisand singing "Oh My Man, I Love Him So," my man from Funny Girl, and that was the whole promo. He's lip syncing, and then he ends with like then it's over, right? So, and I was doing a show for money at the Paper Mill Playhouse. And I showed the promo because I was so excited about it to an actor who was in the show. And this actor had been in a bunch of Broadway shows, national tours, And he said, so what is this? And I told him. And he said, what is it? Is it a backers audition? And I said, no. I mean, you could call it a workshop. But I said, but I don't know if it's going to go anywhere past this. It's just this show that I wrote. And he said, and you're just doing it? And I said, yeah, just doing it. And the idea that we have been trained so hard. I mean, it's the thing I fight with my manager about all the time. And he is right to a certain extent in terms of how I view myself, or how I value myself as an artist. Mm-hmm. But we've been taught that it's not worth making art if we're not getting paid for it, right? Mm-hmm. Or if it doesn't somehow lead to money. And one of the things that I have been preaching about for so long is that when you're an actor and you go to an audition, are you doing that for money? Because we don't make money from auditions. And we have like a 1 in 100, 1 in 200, 300 chance of possibly even getting the job, but you don't get paid for an audition. There's no payoff unless you get the job. And if the way you look at it is there is no payoff for an audition unless you get the job, then what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
It's got to be because you love doing it. It is the only opportunity that we have to make art. And I'm not talking about being a playwright. I'm talking about being an actor. It's the only time we have. The only moment we have is going in that room and having an audition and showing them what we can do. That is it. So why not see it as an opportunity to make art? So yes, I hate it. I hate that people don't get that for some reason we're making art. I hate when people believe that we're doing it because of capitalism. Because if I were making theater because of capitalism, then I would already be rich. Because I've made more theater than anybody I know.
Question 3. It's question 3 and 4. Sometimes I'll ask them together, I'll ask them apart, but I'll ask 3 first. And that is a success in your career. And what did it teach you?
Oh, God. I was the first Black man to play Bellamy in the off-Broadway production of The Fantastics that ran, 57 years off-Broadway. That was great. Yes, it was great. It was 2014. Our checks were bouncing left and right. I got a lot of press. That was really exciting. But what I learned from that success, and it felt successful at first, but what I really learned about that is that it wasn't as satisfying as the work I was creating on my own. It wasn't as satisfying as everyone told me it was supposed to be. So I learned the thing that I had been preaching for a long time, and that was that we have to define our own success. And while I felt very successful doing the job, I also felt like I hadn't succeeded because it just was really hard. It's just really hard. Now that I've brought it up, I feel really sad. I feel kind of sad because it was, I met some really wonderful people. And at the same time, I met a couple of awful people. And doing that show and then leaving that show to do something that felt better, but felt more aligned to my spirit. After the show that I did, that I left the Fantastics for to do, was out of town, it sort of ushered in about a year of a really slow time in my career. And that success made me chase that other job that I got. And I just, I think the lesson is, looking back on it, the lesson is that success is some bullshit unless you're defining it yourself. And I did those 2 jobs because I felt like I was a success. So there it is. Moving on.
Well, this might be worse. A failure in your career, and what did it teach you?
I fail every day. I fail a lot. I mean, I fail all the time. I honestly don't know what to say about that, except that here's the thing. I fail every single day. I fail with every project that I make. I fail on every episode of the Reparations Show. And I think the thing that I have learned from that is that I have to keep striving no matter what. And that failure is not so terrible. Failure is nothing like success. Because from failure, you always have potential to make something else, to start over again and do something else, or to revise the thing that you've done and do it again. So I think I'm one of those artists who is very typical, but I'm afraid of success. Because I don't want, I remember fighting with one of my therapists who was trying to call me a success. And I was like, no, I'm not a success. And I don't think I understood that until this year, that all of the failures that have led me to here are really exciting failures, because I am still making theater. I'm still making things, and I am looking forward to figuring out what the next thing is. A very good friend of mine told me this weekend, because I'm applying for jobs to be an artistic director when things open up again, but I'm applying for jobs, and she said to me, and she said, and I want you to hear this, I hope you hear this, your magic is in seeing a space where there's nothing and knowing that something can go there and making the thing that fits in that space. That is your magic. That is your superpower. And I was so grateful to hear that. I was so grateful for her to be vulnerable enough to say something to me, you know. And I received it, and I receive it. I received that. But I think that I wouldn't know that there are empty spaces that are begging for something that I could make with you or with someone else if I didn't fail so much. I don't think I would know that. So you were wrong. This is a good question. I feel happy. I feel happy. The success question.
We're so willing to be wrong.
Oh,
yeah,
that was a great answer. We always say when we do these 5 questions, we've never gotten the same answer twice. We've never, unless it's like a couple in the same room where it's like, you know what I love about theater? The people. You know what I hate about theater? The people.
You know, I want to say the thing that I didn't say for any of those answers, that I feel like I have to say to you or to the world, is that one of the things that I love the most about my career in the theater is the community, is feeling like I'm a part of a community, and then feeling like every project that I lead, we're creating a new community that fits into a larger community. And I love that. I love that. And I work with, when I'm directing, I do a lot of directing of college students. And I love leaving those schools knowing that I have new colleagues, that I have colleagues that are about to enter the community of the world. And I hope that they feel like they're always a part of my community, that they can always reach out if they need. Because again, I want everybody to have access, you know? So.
Sometimes as reviewers, we feel like we're part of the community, but we're not sure if we're like on the outside because we're like the judges of theater, even though we both came from creative backgrounds. We've worked in theater, but you know, that sense of belonging, I almost want to call them instant friendships, because once you've talked about, you know, what you've created, where you succeeded, where you failed, you immediately like have something in common, because those stories of theater are so universal. Our last question, and this is the one that sometimes trips people up in a good way. 40 years from now, there's a theater textbook, and to be in theater, kids have to study this backwards and forwards. In that book, there's a rule with your name on it. What is that rule?
Vulnerability is the key to your success and your failure. And you must have a relationship with all three concepts. I did it.
You did it.
I did it. Your success and your failure. And you must have a relationship with all three concepts. I did it.
You did it.
I did it.
That is the question we usually get people going, oh no, I don't want to think about that. But we've also gotten like Peter Michael Moreno was like, be nice, and we love that one.
He's right. He's totally right. But if you're not nice and you're vulnerable, I'm saying. No, I mean, I think I have to thank you, because I don't know if I'd have that answer if we hadn't talked about failure and success. I don't think that I would have an answer to that question if we hadn't had this conversation. So I thank you, and I want to make sure that you understand that this is how community is created in my mind. Yeah. So thank you for including me, and thank you for helping me to define my legacy in the textbook.
I love it. We love connecting with people. It's funny, when all this went down, I felt almost at home because I met people via online, but then would go meet them in person. In fact, our big dream is the Dana Ricky 2022 tour, going and meeting all these people in person. So that's.
Well, we know New York would. I think
New York
would
is probably
us eventually and drag us in New York.
Yeah, New York's like top of the list. We always tell people, if we've talked to you, you're our friend now. You are our friend for life. We will never let you go.
Don't let me go.
Message us, tell us everything. Sometimes people are like, oh, you know, they're theater critics, they're busy, they don't want to see my 5-minute play. We want to see your 5-minute play.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Even if we can't make it, we always share everything, and like we share fundraisers, we share, you know, things people are doing, because it's so important. It's so important. Just
thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you. We wanted to talk to you for a while, but we're like, oh, he's probably busy. And so we're so glad we could get a hold of you.
Well, I'm glad that you did, and I'm glad that we talked.
Go forth. We will talk to you later. Message us often. If we're not friends on Facebook, we'll friend you immediately, and we will talk to you later.
And you too. Reach out whenever, please.
We will.
And every little whip snitch, as we say in the South.
Sounds great. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you like what we just did, there's going to be plenty more coming up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Our Venmo is in the description. Please support us if you can. Our cats need the money.